Okay, today we are diving into one of the most painful realities in the legal world. You fight, you win a huge case, and then poof, it all vanishes on a technicality. We're talking about Rule 50, which is basically a step-by-step guide on how to lose your appeal before you even get to argue why you should win. So just imagine it for a second. You've been through a grueling trial and you won. The relief, the celebration, it feels like it's all over. But let me ask you, is the fight really over? Because the moment the other side files a notice of appeal, that victory you thought was rock solid, it's suddenly standing on some seriously shaky ground. See, an appeal isn't just a simple do-over. It's much better to think of it as a procedural minefield. Seriously, it's a whole new battlefield with its own set of incredibly strict rules. And if you take just one wrong step, boom, your entire case can get blown to bits. And these rules aren't just there to be mean. The system needs a way to make sure cases actually end. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. Section 1 of Rule 50 lays out 9, count 'em, 9 separate traps. 9 ways your appeal can be thrown out before a single judge even reads your argument. This is the very heart of that minefield we're talking about. And you know what's really terrifying? It's who can spring these traps on you. The Court of Appeals can just spot a mistake on its own and dismiss the case. They call that motu proprio. Or, of course, the other side, the person who won a trial, who we now call the appellee, can file a motion to have it dismissed. You've got danger coming at you from every direction. So how does this all play out in the real world? Well, to make it easier to digest, we're going to break these 9 grounds for dismissal into 3 neat groups. And this first group, well, it covers mistakes that are so basic they are almost always instantly fatal. This first set of traps is all about the fundamentals, deadlines and money. Did you file your notice of appeal even a day late? Forget it. Does the official record not clearly prove you were on time? Same devastating result. And this one is a classic. Did you forget to pay the docket fees? Now, the rule technically says the court may dismiss, but let's be real. In practice, these are almost always treated as mandatory. They're what we call jurisdictional defects, which is a fancy way of saying the court believes the mistake is so fundamental, it doesn't even have the legal power to hear the case. Let me paint you a picture. Your lawyer nails it, files the notice of appeal right on time. But in the chaos, they forget to pay the docket fee. The consequence is just brutal in its simplicity. Your appeal is considered not perfected. It's dismissed. That's it. Game over. All that hard work, just gone. Okay, on to our next group of 3 traps. This batch isn't about time or money. No, this is about the very heart and soul of your appeal, the official record of everything that happened in your case. In an appeal, the record is sacred. You mess with it, making changes you're not allowed to, or conveniently leaving things out, and your appeal is likely toast. Same thing goes if the court tells you to fix something in the record, and you just don't. And maybe the biggest one of all, are you even appealing the right kind of decision? Generally, you can only appeal a final judgment, one that settles the whole case. Trying to appeal some small, intermediate order along the way, that's usually a dead end. And that brings us to our last set of 3 procedural landmines. This group is all about the appellant's main weapon in this fight. Their written argument, which is called the brief, and, just their general behavior in front of the court. Your brief is everything. It's your whole case on paper. If you file it late or you don't provide the right number of copies, you're asking for trouble. But what's even worse are mistakes inside the brief itself. Like a brief with no specific assignment of errors section, or one without proper page references to the record. A brief like that is basically worthless. And finally, and this should be obvious, if a court gives you a direct order, you follow it. Ignoring the court is a surefire way to get your case dismissed. Here's a classic mistake. An appellant submits this beautifully written 20-page story of everything that went wrong, but they forget the single most important part, a section that clearly states the trial court made a mistake when it did X, Y, and Z. And here's the lesson you have to burn into your brain. The appellate court is not going to do your homework for you. They won't read through your whole story and try to guess what your arguments are. No assignment of errors, appeal dismissed, period. Wow, okay, that was a lot, I know. But hey, there's actually a pretty simple way to remember all 9 of these grounds. Just think of your ABCs. As you can see, each ground lines up with a letter, from A all the way to I. A for appeal period, B for belated filing, C for cash, you get the idea, is a fantastic mental checklist to run through. But wait, the minefield isn't clear yet. Section 2 of Rule 50 shines a spotlight on a completely different kind of fatal error. This isn't about missing a small deadline. This is about choosing the entirely wrong path from the very start. And for this mistake, There is no second chance. The big idea here is what's called the mode of appeal. You can think of it like picking the right highway to get to your destination. And the phrase to remember here is simple and honestly a little grim. Wrong mode, dead road. You get on the wrong highway and your trip is over before you've even left the city. So this chart breaks down the two most common wrong mode disasters. Look at the left side. If your appeal is only about a pure question of law, meaning you're not arguing about the facts, just about how the law was interpreted, you have to go straight to the Supreme Court. You take the wrong exit to the Court of Appeals, it's dismissed. Now look at the right. If you're appealing a case that was already an appeal from an even lower court, you have to use a very special procedure. If you use the standard one, you guessed it, dismissed. And this is the most brutal part. You might be thinking, okay, so I filed with the wrong court. Can't they just, forward it to the right one for me? And the answer to that is a hard, unequivocal no. The no transfer policy means the court will not help you. They won't do you any favors. They will just dismiss your case outright. The door is slammed shut in your face. Okay, we've got one last big strategic point to cover. Let's say you're the one who filed the appeal, but now you're getting cold feet. You realize your case is weaker than you thought. Can you just back out? Well, Section 3 tells us you can, but it is all about the timing. There is a very, very clear point of no return. Timing is absolutely everything here. Before the other side files their response brief, you can withdraw your appeal as of right. That means it's your choice, it's automatic, no questions asked. But the second that their brief is filed, you have crossed a border. Withdrawal is no longer your right. Now it's a privilege that the court has to agree to grant you. And why the change? Well, because now the other side has invested their own time and money to respond. So the key takeaway is easy to remember. The brief is the border. So, after carefully navigating this entire minefield, let's put it all together in one place. Think of what's coming next as your one-page survival guide for Rule 50. And here it is. Everything you need to know boiled down. Section 1 gives you the 9 grounds for dismissal. Just remember that A to I checklist. Section 2 is all about choosing the correct path. And the key phrase there is the brutal no transfer rule. And finally, Section 3 is about backing out of your appeal, where the brief is the border. This is your cheat sheet. This is how you survive Rule 50. And that really brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. Winning an appeal isn't just about having a great argument. It's about executing the procedure perfectly. So the question you really have to ask yourself is this. Is your appeal actually built to win? Or is it just one tiny, overlooked procedural mistake away from being dismissed?